of the left, and both sides believing that they have to fight fire with fire. That goes against many of the core principles of American constitutional democracy. We're supposed to have a public sphere in which we can debate issues. So I see that on our college campuses, I see that in the nation at large, and the two problems, in my view, are connected.
From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
A plan to give teachers more pay is on the table after weeks of Red for Ed marches, walk-ins, and demonstrations to give Arizona teachers higher salaries.
President Donald Trump's tariffs are being used as a negotiating tool, but to what extent does it affect farmers?
With thousands of jobs on the line, lawmakers in Washington discuss the future of the Navajo generating station.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Nicole Costantino.
And I'm Gabriel Gamito. Thank you for joining us. Governor Doug Ducey and members of the state legislature are presenting plans for boosting teacher pay.
Ducey said in a news conference today, it is a great day for Arizona teachers. Under his plan, they'll get a 9% salary increase starting next year, but that's just the beginning.
Now here's how it will work. Last year's budget combined with this year's budget will result in a 10% increase in teacher pay. In the base, ongoing, inflated. Next year's budget will include another 5% increase. The year after that will include another 5%. That combined with the pay increase provided last year means by the beginning of the 2020 school year, every Arizona teacher will have received a cumulative raise of 20%.
The governor's plan comes after yesterday's statewide walk-ins. Arizona Educators United says teachers demonstrated at more than 1,100 schools in 130 districts. The Red for Ed movement had been demanding a 20% pay raise and an additional $1 billion for public education.
Meanwhile, at the state capitol, House Speaker J.D. Mesnard has introduced his own plan for boosting teacher pay by 24% by the year 2023. According to the pictures of the proposal posted on Twitter, the plan gives teachers a 6% pay increase next year with an increase each additional year. But that funding undercuts the governor's $400 million proposal for K-12 capital funding, which would pay for new school buses, textbooks, and facility maintenance.
Earlier this week, Cronkite News sent out a special public insight survey to ask about the debate over teacher pay and whether Arizonans should support a walkout. Here are some of the responses. Kathy Beebe of Tempe told us, yes, the state legislature needs to restore the educational funding that they have raided since 2008. The public schools are starving and teachers are leaving to the surrounding states that have issued pay raises. Philip Moore of Tucson says, absolutely not. Teachers are paid according to their collective bargaining agreements with the school districts. If they're not happy with it, they have the same choice as everybody else. Find another career. Susan Wood of Scottsdale wouldn't back a strike either. Quote, higher pay should attract the best teachers. So if the money isn't enough, the good teachers will leave. A shortage of teachers will automatically result in higher salaries. But Tyler Lyons of Mesa says, yes, quote, it really comes down to whether or not we as a state care enough about education to actually make it a priority. For the past decade, we have put our focus on attracting business at the expense of our schools. And because of this imbalance, we are nearly last in the nation in all metrics on success, growth, and pay. You can find more reactions and give your input on today's proposal for boosting teacher pay on cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
The gun safety group founded by Representative Gabby Giffords are opposing Governor Doug Ducey's school safety plan. They say there are too many loopholes in the proposal, which would make it even more difficult to take guns away from dangerous people than current law. The plan was introduced into the Senate Wednesday.
At a White House ceremony today to celebrate Republican tax cuts, President Donald Trump repeated claims that his administration is cracking down on what he called unfair trade deals. But that crackdown and the possible backlash from other countries, has some worried, as Cronkite News reporter Austin Bundy tells us from our Washington bureau.
President Donald Trump announced tariffs on Chinese steel last month. That resulted in retaliatory tariffs from the Chinese on U.S. fruit, nuts, and pork in early April. Experts hope that what so far is a war of lists won't escalate into a full-blown trade war. David Salmonson, Senior Director for Congressional Relations at the American Farm Bureau, hopes both countries can come to a negotiated solution soon, as any more tariffs could harm U.S. farmers during the planting season.
We hope we can get to a negotiated process. If this is a tactic to bring pressure, to bring people to negotiations, and that works, to bring people to negotiations, let's get a negotiated solution. Let's not end up with these tariffs.
Arizona Representative Paul Gosar actually does think the president's threats of additional tariffs are a way to pressure the Chinese into coming to the negotiating table.
So if the president is using the tariff as a leverage where we actually have better negotiations, I'm all for it, because what's working isn't working.
But Arizona Senator Jeff Flake, a staunch free trade Republican, said this war of words is not much better than an actual trade war. He introduced a bill in March to nullify the tariffs already implemented by the president, claiming Trump must make a decision on trade with China or risk harming the economy more.
Tariffs are bad enough on their own. Tariffs married with uncertainty are even worse. If we don't trade, we don't grow. You can be pro-growth, you can be pro-tariff, but you can't be both.
Senator Flake's bill still sits in the Senate Finance Committee, and no further tariffs from China or the U.S. have been put into effect. Live in Washington, Austin Bundy, Cronkite News.
Secretary of State nominee Mike Pompeo had his confirmation hearing in the Senate Foreign Relations Committee earlier today. President Donald Trump took this morning to Twitter to wish Pompeo luck during the questioning. Pompeo addressed issues regarding State Department vacancies, filling the positions, and representing President Trump. He also stated that war would be the last resort when dealing with international conflicts. Nearly 15,000 migrant families call Arizona home at least part of the year. Most travel back and forth between here and California. But as Megan Meyer reports, ensuring migrant children have a successful childhood is challenging.
I'm gonna make a robot.
A robot?
Yeah.
Okay.
4-year-old Camila Valenzuela is the first of her siblings to attend preschool. Mom, Cynthia Denise, says she wishes she knew about Arizona's migrant preschool program when her other children were Camila's age. Denise was raised in a family that migrated often. Now, years later, she revisits the program she once attended, but this time for her daughter.
My parents, one had to work night, one had to work day so that they can stay with us. And we found this program, like they helped us with everything, and now we get to bring our kids here.
Many migrant families are forced to move at least once within the school year, causing some children to score below average on state assessments. Today, 25 local education agencies provide services to migrant students, striving to keep them on track.
Everything that is above and beyond what they would traditionally get from school and from other resources within the school setting, but that will help them to be able to concentrate and focus on being academically successful, this program can provide.
Services include things like eye care, dental care, and nutritious take-home meals.
Getting to and from school poses a challenge for some migrant families, but in order to overcome that barrier, the program offers transportation.
Thanksgiving and stuff, they'll give us, you know, a turkey or a box of food, or Christmas, they helped us with gifts. And, you know, when my parents couldn't, they couldn't give us, you know, 1 or 2 gifts. And I mean, I remember they come in with bags of presents for us.
For those who work directly with the kids and their families, seeing their growth is the reward.
When I'm down or I have a bad day, I come here. This program is the best thing that had happened to the migrant families.
A program generations of Arizona migrant families have come to count on. In Queen Creek, Megan Meyer, Cronkite News.
Arizona's migrant education program is federally funding, allowing students ages 3 through 22 to attend school at no cost.
A Navajo Nation judge is weighing in on sexual abuse cases involving members of the Mormon Church and the Navajo Nation. There are 5 different cases, all linked back to the Mormon Church's Indian Student Placement Program in Arizona and Utah. The lawsuits have bounced back and forth between federal and tribal courts over legal and subject matter jurisdiction. Also, the Navajo Nation is suing pharmaceutical companies and drug distributors, alleging their actions caused the opioid crisis among Native Americans. The tribe says American Indians have suffered from the opioid dependency or abuse, even though they have helped cover costs and treatment for other resources. One of the defendants denied the allegations. Others say they are working to combat the epidemic.
Northern Arizona tribes are facing another threat. The 2019 closure of the Navajo generating station near Page could mean the loss of thousands of jobs at the plant and the coal mine that feeds it. Cronkite News reporter Ariana Bustos was at the congressional hearing today where options for the plan were discussed.
One thing everyone agrees on is that closing the Navajo generating station at this moment would be devastating for surrounding communities.
NGS is an essential component of the Navajo Nation's economy and our energy portfolio and must remain viable for the sake of the nation and our people.
Lorenzo Bates, Speaker of the 23rd Navajo Nation Council, was one of 7 at today's hearing urging Congress to find a way to keep the plant open. But Nicole Horseherder, a member of the Navajo Nation in Arizona, was the only person on the panel who said the plant has outlived its usefulness.
It is delaying and distracting from the economic transition we need to make.
The plant is closing because SRP, its main customer, can buy natural gas-generated electricity cheaper than the coal-fired power from the Page plant. Horseherder supports transitioning to clean energy and argued that the plant is unsustainable and damaging to the environment. But Congressman Paul Gosar, who chaired the meeting, said clean energy technology is too far away, but can be considered in the future.
So when we get the technology that helps us, whether it be molten salts, whether it be battery storage, that's going to come online, and that's why we want to constantly reinvest into alternative energy and new technologies.
Congressman Tom O'Halloran said it is the federal government's responsibility to keep the plant open, but has to do more.
We must work to assist in building the infrastructure that is critical for the development of a diverse economy.
Gosar said hearings like these are a step in the right direction for finding a long-term solution.
A lot of times when you put the facts on the table, they set you free.
Reporting from Washington, Ariana Bustos, Cronkite News.
Gosar noted during the hearing that Congress passed legislation commissioning the plant. He said he is asking the Bureau of Reclamation and Interior Department to review that language to see if the plant can be closed now. It's National Public Safety Communicators Week.
Coming up on Cronkite News, we have an inside perspective of what it's like to be a 911 call dispatcher.
Plus, credit card thieves are finding more advanced ways to steal your account information at the gas station. Find out their tactics and how new technology aims to protect your money at the pump.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
As journalists at Cronkite News, we report on stories that matter to you by focusing on the local impact. We dig deeper and work tirelessly to keep you informed.
Live in Wickerburg.
Live in Los Angeles.
In Cleveland. In Washington. In Louisville.
From Jerusalem. Live in Philadelphia. From around the world to right here in Phoenix.
At Cronkite News, we report the facts and stick to the truth.
Hundreds of Arizonans have their credit card numbers stolen at gas stations each year. And as technology to combat skimming improves, so do the thieves' tactics. Stephen Lesprin knows all too well how it feels to have your credit card information stolen at the pump.
It was real quick. Within just a couple hours, they had rung up like $200 worth of stuff at different local stores.
Skimmers, the illegal device that crooks attach to the inside of a gas pump, read and store your credit card number when you swipe, giving them full access to your bank account. Michelle Wilson of the Arizona Department of Weights and Measures says technology to catch these criminals is becoming more advanced, but so are the thieves.
Others are Bluetooth enabled, where they can drive within, close enough proximity to be able to download the data via Bluetooth.
But now gas stations are even going as far as 24-hour monitoring to make sure your information isn't stolen the next time you pay at the pump. These pumps at Quick Trip have sensors embedded which alert the company if anyone has tampered with the equipment.
Now every time I come to the gas station right away, I pull on the thing to see if there's something going on. And with 57 skimmers found in the state last year and 88 the year before, Lesprin is on the lookout for loose readers and broken security tape. That's exactly why I don't use my debit card. I use credit, make sure it's the bank's money and not my own.
According to Weights and Measures, other ways to stay At the pump include asking site employees about security measures that they have in place, and if using a debit card, run the card as credit to prevent having to enter your PIN number.
Arizona is the latest state to prohibit certain child marriages. Governor Doug Ducey signed a bill preventing anyone younger than 16 from getting married. 16 and 17-year-olds can only marry if their partner is no more than 3 years older and they have their parents' permission. Data from Maricopa County court system says 570 minors were married over a 5-year span.
Referred to as the unseen heroes of emergency situations, dispatch call takers are the people on the other side of the phone when you call 911. This week is National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. To raise awareness and celebrate the work of 911 call takers and radio dispatchers perform each day. They take emergency calls and connect them to public safety officers. Tanya Scott has worked as a 911 call taker and radio dispatcher for 12 years and says helping people is rewarding, but adds dispatchers don't always get the closure after taking a call.
Sometimes you'll keep a list of them throughout your shift and be able to look at them, but sometimes officers don't put notes on it and there's nothing further. So just a lot of unknown, which was really hard to deal with, I guess, at first, because you're like, I just really want to know what happened, but you just got to go on to the next call.
And while the job is difficult at times, Scott says she has found a family among her fellow dispatchers. Phoenix Police Department currently needs an additional 50 to 80 911 call takers and radio dispatchers. About 150 people die each year from valley fever.
Coming up on Cronkite News, we'll take a deeper look into why cases are misdiagnosed and what symptoms to look for.
And high wind advisories and red flag warnings, I'll tell you when we can see those start to go away. Coming up.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. Join us each weekday at 5:30 and 10 as we bring you the top newsmakers who impact the state. We cover the stories in depth that shape and affect our local communities, and we take the time to ensure that all voices are equally heard. For more than 30 years, Arizona Horizon has been your voice and your source for what matters most, right here on Arizona PBS.
I'm Matt Berry, ESPN Sports Center anchor and graduate of ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. With its bachelor's and master's degrees in sports journalism, the Cronkite School is preparing the next generation of sports journalists to tell stories that matter, stories that excite, inspire, and inform. Cronkite immerses students in covering sports at all levels in one of the country's top sports markets. It's this hands-on experience under the guidance of award-winning sports media veterans that shape the top journalists of tomorrow.
By the year 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. Before Professor Halden, I had an insane amount of passion, but I almost felt helpless because I didn't know how to use it. Professor Halden gave me a chance to make a difference. Being at a place like ASU allows you to take these big leaps. Ultimately, the biggest problems in the world cannot be solved alone.
According to census estimates, on average, more than 200 people move to Maricopa County every day. And medical experts say most of them are unfamiliar with valley fever, a fungal infection that kills about 150 people each year. Cronkite News reporter Mari Nelson tells us why many cases are misdiagnosed and go untreated.
I had no idea really what it was, and until I contracted it, and then I found out in a hurry what it was.
Jim Minahan moved to the valley 20 years ago. He will never forget when he came down with a mysterious illness.
I was getting splitting headaches, and my temperature shot up to about 103, 103 and a half. You think you're just having a very bad flu with a cold or something.
And that's what his doctor thought at first. He put Minahan on antibiotics. He became even more ill and returned to the doctor and was diagnosed with valley fever.
Arizona is the main region in the U.S. that has soil that contains a fungus that causes valley fever.
Dr. John Galgiani says that many Arizona physicians misdiagnose the disease.
Many of the physicians don't train here in Arizona. They train in other parts of the country where this is actually a rare disease.
Dr. Galgiani says patients who are experiencing extreme fatigue, high fever, and chest pain may want to seek tests for valley fever.
If they're sick enough to see their doctor and they know about the symptoms of valley fever, and if they have those symptoms, we are recommending that they talk to their doctor about that.
Minahan says he was glad he was finally diagnosed. It took him 6 months to recover.
My story is really what can happen, how you can make the best of a bad situation if there's good understanding and awareness on the part of the doctor and the patient of what he's dealing with.
In Phoenix, Mari Nelson, Cronkite News.
Dr. Galgiani will discuss the need to raise awareness for valley fever at the Association of Healthcare Journalists Conference in Phoenix on Sunday.
More extreme weather is happening right now in northern Arizona after a wildfire started earlier this week. The National Weather Service issued a red flag warning for extreme winds this morning, with gusts up to 50 miles per hour carrying dust, causing visibility to drop below a quarter mile. The warning is expected to be lifted by 9 p.m. tonight. Hopefully the high winds will end soon. Nicole, how does this possibly affect the weather this weekend?
Yeah, so we hopefully are going to be seeing these higher winds dip out probably tonight or by tomorrow. We can see this front is causing this pressure system, and that's what that is causing is those high winds. And you can see these little isobars right here, which are these little things, and those are super close together, and that's what's creating those higher winds. So speaking of higher winds, we saw winds up to 30 miles per hour in the valley, all across the valley, which is pretty high. And even in central deserts, we saw winds about 45 miles per hour, but these are going to be dipping down. So our red flag warnings, we're going to be seeing those until 9 p.m. tonight. Red flag warnings are essentially high fire danger. So you want to make sure that you are paying attention to those burn warnings and making sure that you're obeying them. And then we have high wind warnings up until 7, and then a dust storm warning until 7 p.m. And you know Arizonans just love those dust storms. For our evening forecast, we're going to be dipping down into having our lows in the low mid 50 range, but tonight for your evening it's going to be in the low 70s, and it's going to be quite nice. You're going to want to get outside and enjoy that. For tomorrow, our high is going to be 76. It's going to be a beautiful Friday, so you want to make sure you get outside and celebrate it. Cooler temperatures and winds. And then for our 7-day forecast, we are going to be seeing those temperatures rise back up for the weekend. Our work week starts. We're going to be seeing those temperatures. They stay pretty steady in the 80s.
Spring is upon us here in the Valley, which means baseball season is as well. Coming up on Cronkite News, we'll show you what goes into the making of a baseball bat.
Cronkite News, weeknights at 5 on Arizona PBS.
Fridays, it's at Cronkite News, your social sharing connection where you choose the news. Facebook likes and shares, tweets, retweets, and favorites. YouTube views and subscriptions. We're watching you watch us. From our digital home at cronkitenews.azpbs.org to your television, web browser, or mobile device. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Then join us for at Cronkite News, our weekly refresh, each Friday at 5 on Arizona PBS.
The crack of a bat is a sound baseball enthusiasts love, but not many people know what goes into the process of making the instrument responsible for so many home runs. Reporter Brooke Catelli went out to Chandler to meet the owner of Zinger Bat, Scott Hanisch, to learn more about how the bats are made.
Arizona is a baseball hotspot, but with more cacti than trees in the valley, Zinger Bats, located in Chandler, gets the first essential for making baseball bats from a different place.
There's no wood sources around here that are good for professional baseball bats. So everything really any of the companies that mean anything in this business get all of their wood out of the New York, Pennsylvania area.
But as the wood is toted 2,000 miles across the country, it's constantly adapting to the moisture in the air in each of the climates it passes through.
So when the wood comes from the mill or comes from New York, we literally have to let it sit on the floor and adapt to Arizona for a few weeks.
The bat then takes shape through a machine from Spain, which was once a high-end furniture lathe.
It cuts very exotic chair rails and the staircase spirals. So when it looks at a bat, it kind of laughs at it and spits it out.
Bats are sanded twice, chopped to length, and ultimately cupped. Then the bats are given a bit of personality.
Once everything gets painted and through, then you get your engraving done. We have a big industrial laser that literally burns right into the wood and cuts it in.
Zinger has designed bats for more than just baseball players. At one point, they were even the official bat provider for Jay Leno and The Tonight Show.
Probably did 25 or 30 of them for some of his different guests over the course of the last probably year and a half he was on the show.
The bats done for The Tonight Show display the amount of creativity available to Zinger when designing bats.
It's literally like art. I mean, we have guys in here all the time constantly kind of trying to step up our game every day.
In Chandler, Brooke Catelli, Cronkite News.
Hainish estimates around 25 to 30 MLB players are using Zinger bats today, and in Games 6 and 7 of the 2016 World Series, the game-winnings RBIs were hit with a Zinger bat.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, a look at the state's bioscience sector. And Phoenix and Tucson are highly ranked in a new national report on solar energy production. That's the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next NewsHour, President Trump's pick to be Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, faces tough questions at his confirmation hearing. That's Thursday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
Phryne Fisher is a detective.
Things could get interesting around here.
Who isn't afraid to live a little.
I hope you're not concealing a dangerous weapon under that skirt.
I'm concealing a lot of things.
The irresistible series, Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries.
Tonight at 8 on Arizona PBS.
Next time on Death in Paradise.
Body of a young woman has just been found.
A student kills herself during a literary festival.
Please forgive me.